Next up on our agenda is policy 4302 update. And 4302, for those of you who don't know, is the use of seclusion and restraint. Ms. Varnam?
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to share some things that I have shared before with regard to, I can't do both, I can't see you with these on or off. I'm going to share some information that I've shared with you before and also give you a few updates. So some of this is going to sound like a little bit of a reminder, but I need to frame it in this way. So in alignment with your strategic plan of establishing learning environments that are, of course, supportive, culturally responsive, and focused on building relationships and community, our team that has been auditing and working through our processes has continued to do this work. Our work is really evaluating necessary changes, of course, and the increased fidelity measures, along with discontinuance of ineffective methods. One thing that I want to highlight is that this is incremental work, incremental steps to reduce the use of, and really to reduce or remove the need for this as a safety measure. We're not quite there yet. However, this is the work that's going on. A trauma-sensitive approach, of course, backed by evidence-based research, we know focuses on the brain-based and brain-informed practices that really utilize staff skills in the prevention of crisis situations, as well as responding to our students who are in crisis due to stress and trauma. We are operating under plans to continue and expand this work. We have contractual partnerships going on now with Lives in the Balance and with expanding our trauma-sensitive schools training. This has been a little interesting to do this through some of the budget work, but we're fine. This approach, most specifically though, relies on the relationships that staff have with our students and their ability to really understand that difference between intentional and adaptive versus maladaptive responses to stress. This is that work of regulation. We have regulation programs already in place, but we're talking about it continually expanding that. So our continued work requires our review of each school's school plan for the management of student behavior per policy 4302. We know that 4302R, the use of seclusion and restraint, it's the regulatory attachment to policy 4302, which is the school plan for the management of student behavior, which says that every school creates their school plan as a part of their school improvement plan, which we know those are being completed now. They're due in the district by mid-September and to you in October. So that continued work really requires us to spend some time looking at what the schools have created as their plan for the management of student behavior. This ongoing work helps us inform the next steps of any use of seclusion and restraint. But I will mention that all administrators in their summer leadership professional development later in July will be further exploring this. Specifically, documentation of incidents, debriefing models, and enhanced training will be reviewed for increased fidelity towards the strategic mission. I do want to highlight the changes that we know and our team is working on, and we're incrementally seeing this to fruition. Our teachers and support staff need to be included in this professional development and carrying out these policies as they're written, as their plans are written from their school level. And the dramatic changes that we are focusing on are really 3 shifts. 1, an improvement in understanding any and all factors related to challenging behaviors of our students. The next, focusing on the mechanisms, creating mechanisms that are proactive versus reactive and are collaborative versus unilateral. Our administrators later in the month are going to be seeing more of that in our guidance, and they're prepared for those changes. And then thirdly, really creating structures and processes so that our students and the adults that are supporting them are solving the problems together. So look forward to more updates as we review the plans that are submitted from the schools based on policy 4302, and then necessary updates that come behind that with these regulations.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for Ms. Varnam?
I think,
Right, Ms.
I
Walker?
have a question. I think that we had discussed that it had to go through policy committee, the 4302R. That would be the process once you guys are ready, and then that would come to the board that way.
Yes, absolutely, because the regulation would definitely need to be adjusted in accordance with what the schools have created in line with 4302. Yes.
Mr. Walker, Mr. McManus. Sorry.
So in essence, what you're doing is, after the workshops, that are pretty intensive this summer, then they'll be given time during the beginning of the year to find out what works in their particular environment, what doesn't, to make adjustments as necessary under your tutelage, bless your heart. But, so really appreciate what you're doing and how you're doing it, so that we're not throwing them under the bus, so to speak, anyone involved in this process, no matter where you are, and then we're thinking it through and giving it time for everyone to be adjusted, I guess is the best word. So thank you.
Right.
And that will be done. Do you have maybe a goal next?
Well, our goal is always, yesterday or as soon as possible. But the goal is to make sure that our staff feel confident in the skills that they're using and believe that they can all be successful. Our staff wants safety in the classroom, no question. Where we can reduce any use that wasn't needed, that I feel like that work is well underway. It's preventing those crisis situations from becoming those crisis situations. And again, it's relying on the relationships of our staff and also the professional knowledge while they're working inside the classroom. But we have to utilize their voice in this process while we're giving them the best tools we can in their toolbox.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rutherford?
One other question. First off, I want to thank you again for all your hard work. So you'll be meeting with the principals the end of this month. When would you anticipate meeting with or training our EC teachers and other teachers?
So we have ongoing training, but we are working through contracts again with Lives in the Balance, and we have 10 schools that we don't have that contract set yet, but it's working. It's always interesting finding that budget code, but we have it. We have a budget code. And then our next work with trauma-informed schools, my team actually wrote a grant for that work, and we're working with the provider to set that professional development up. So professional development calendars are also, I know you know, are also fun to try to find the time, but we are well underway with making sure that those tools are working for our staff.
Great, thank you.
And
So I don't have a timeline, but I will provide you updates regularly as we're doing.
Well, and if you remember, one milestone that Ms. Varnam mentioned to us was school improvement plans, that they're not due to us until they're due in end of September to her department and Dr. Faison. And then we get them in October. So that should be, that is one milestone that we really don't want to rush. But okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much.